mean, my dad was from Mansfield, but my mum was Clipston. Born in Kirkby, but she moved here when she was 2 because the pit opened and my granddad saw an opportunity.
Do you have a favourite thing about Clipston?
I love the headstarts. It's weird. But I've got quite an arty mind, so I quite like driving from this way into Clipston. It's like a gateway, I always think, just briefly as you drive through.
Nursing training, was that down the pit?
We had to go for a day. It was part of the mines rescue, apparently. A&E had a team of a doctor and a nurse, and if there was ever a pit accident, they went down as part of the rescue team. Back where the Mansfield General was, there was a nursing school, and that's where we were based. So, yes, under duress, I was frog marched down the mine. Well, the whole class had to go. We were told if we didn't go, then we couldn't complete his training, which was rubbish. I think she just tried to scare us into going. But I hate small spaces. I cannot tell you. I don't even like going in a lift. So I try and shut that out my mind because it was very traumatic. I cannot believe how those men worked down there. It was absolute hell, and I only had a couple of hours. We had to put all the gear on, the pads on his knees, we had to have the rescue thing. Took us down in the lift, which absolutely petrified me because it was so crowded. I had to stand in the middle, so I actually felt all the air rush up. But the speed it dropped, can't tell you. Yeah, the speed it dropped. But then when you get out, it was massive. White and cavernous, you could have driven a bus. But we walked for a while, and then we got to a seam and we had to crawl the length of the seam with the cutting gear, and I kept banging my head and scratching myself, and I was crying, and there was like a miner at the back of me going, "You'll be all right," trying to talk me through it. He said to me at the end, he said, "Why did you come down if you were that bad?" I said, "Well, she told me, my tutor, that I'd got to or complete my training." He says, "Well, she's never been bloody down," he said. He says, "She always stays up top." So, fooled, line and sinker. We had to do really everything. I can remember jumping on the belt. Yeah. He said, "Well, I can't stop it. You're just going to have to jump on and make sure you jump off the other end." So I can remember jumping on and clinging, on my hands and knees. There's a name for it. Generally, it was to get all the people quite quickly as well to where the seam was. So it was like, right, bit of a safety brief, straight down, walk to this belt thing, jump on the other end, and then you're crawling down a seam. I can remember going up step ladders as well, and there's all miners there with no shirts on. To actually stay down there, I just can't imagine it, and go back day after day. Every time I blew my nose, there were black on. And then you think that went into all the lungs, didn't it? As well as the mines rescue, it gave you an insight into what... Because all this community, not just Clipston, but Forest Town, Mansfield, they'd all got pits. So everybody that you're looking after that's coming into hospital or in the community, it was all coal dust related. It was all in the lungs, they were crippled with arthritis. And the black scarring. If you get a wound down the pit, the coal dust gets in it and you get like a tattooed effect, so you get black scarring. Yeah, I could guess. I could walk into Sue, because I did community nursing, actually. You walked in and you'd look at their arms and the hands and the legs, and if they were breathing okay, you'd still know they were a miner, that they'd been down there. It used to look blue, like tattooed. And then obviously they'd got the lungs full of rubbish. My granddad was terrible. He retired at 64. And my mum told me that the doctor said to him, "You need to retire." He said, "Well, I've only got another year." He said, "If you don't retire, you haven't." He had to finish at 64, but he'd been down mine from age 13. Yeah, I can't remember him ever not being on oxygen. Child, he was sat in the chair, his hands were like that, and he'd be on oxygen. He'd take it off a little bit and talk to me, then be back on again. So that's my memory of my granddad, which is quite sad, isn't it? And then I saw it over and over again. But gradually, as my career progressed, they got less and less, to the point it was quite exciting to see an ex-miner, because, like I say, they'd all gone. They didn't get much retirement, and as I say, what they did get, they were suffering. And my granddad had got a back injury as well, a coal truck hit him in back. I don't know whether he broke part of his back or whatever. I mean, he could still walk and everything. He were always in back pain. Bless him.
The happiest memory of life in Clipston that you've got?
It's the community, isn't it? Without a doubt. There's still a hint there now, but it's nothing compared to what it was. Everybody looked after everybody. And I found that in work in all the mining communities. You knew everybody looked after you. Yeah, I mean, my grandma and granddad finished off in a little bungalow. There was neighbours, young neighbours opposite in the houses, and they know everything. You'd get a phone call, I don't think my mum's mum ain't very well, and you need to come and have a look, she don't look very good, and yeah, it was great. Which is strange, because when we moved here, I was quite excited, because I've always felt that this was part of my heritage. Like I say, my mum was here from the age 2. She was married in the church, she taught in the Sunday school in the church, she was in Girls' Brigade here. And we came, and within weeks you felt like this estate is completely ostracised by Clipston itself. Old Clipston, or King's Clipston as it is, don't want to know us. They don't want to know us because we're all stuck up and posh and snobs and we don't belong. But yeah, you'd be studying co-op in village and they'd be, we want to bugger off back, back to where they've come from, coming here, building on our land and on countryside. But then weirdly, we were one of the first houses here. I was saying the same about Grant. It sort of went round because it were all fields opposite. I got right upset when they started building on it.
Yeah,
so double standards, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I could see their point of view eventually. Yeah. But yeah, she used to play in the sort of fields and everything as a child. Now she told me my grandma was like the local witch, that she's all into potions and making remedies for the local people. They used to come to her to get things to sort of make her well again. Yeah, and foraging. And she'd got this knowledge. She knew what was good for sprains and aches and stomach upsets. And she used to take Sandra with her all the way down, to Vickers, and because he used to flood the fields at the bottom, where the dog and duck is. They used to, because it's a water meadow, they used to bank the river off and flood it, and everybody would go down there for picnics and swimming and paddling and messing about in the fields with the water. Yeah, but they used to also walk down there picking and foraging and grabbing stuff. By the time I came along, my grandparents were quite frail, so I just used to sit in the kitchen with a colouring book while my mum cleaned for him and stuff like that. So I've got no memories like that. But my sister's full of it. She preferred to be with my grandma and granddad than my mum and dad, she always tells me, because they were more exciting. And my granddad liked to take bread and marmalade down pit with a flask of cold tea, and he always put a slice in for her, because she liked it when it had been down there for whatever hours they worked and it were all warm and sticky and soggy. And she used to love it. So he used to do it for her. She used to have a slice of bread and marmalade when he got back from work.